This video explores the 300-win penalty, focusing on the rise, dominance, and abrupt demise of Winston-Salem State University baseball. We will examine how the systemic economics of Division II sports dismantled this historically black college and university, or HBCU, powerhouse between 2010 and 2019. In 2019, WSSU permanently cut its men's baseball team. This was a program that achieved 310 wins and 6 conference titles in 9 seasons and produced 2 MLB draft picks. This raises a crucial question. Why did a collegiate sports program, doing everything right, lose its right to exist? The program initially shut down in 1973 after a dismal 2-18 season, remaining dormant for 38 years. In 2010, the program was resurrected to align with the CIAA. Head coach Kevin Richa was tasked with building a modern Division II team from scratch, recruiting athletes to an HBCU with no recent baseball history. The program experienced a decade of dominance, achieving 310 total wins. After their inaugural season, the Rams never dropped below 30 wins. Between 2011 and 2015, they won 5 consecutive CIAA league titles, capturing 7 of 8 championships during their conference tenure. By 2016 and 2017, WSSU was a national threat. The 2017 squad posted a .672 win percentage, advancing deep into the NCAA Division II Atlantic Regional. Coach Richa believed they were close to a breakthrough, saying, "One of these years, we are going to break through that door." WSSU was successful in producing next-level talent. Randy Norris, a junior outfielder, set program records for all-time leader in hits at bats and stolen bases. Norris became the first player in WSSU history to be drafted by a Major League Baseball franchise in the 2018 MLB draft. The foundation cracked in 2017 when the CIAA officially dropped baseball as a championship sport as other programs shuttered their teams. The consequence was brutal. WSSU was suddenly without a league and forced to operate as a Division II independent, incurring severe logistical and economic penalties. Independence brought brutal costs compared to the CIAA era. Scheduling became erratic and required scrambling for out-of-state opponents. Travel expenses skyrocketed due to highly expensive multi-state travel. Postseason access relied entirely on subjective at-large NCAA bids, requiring near-perfect records. The program faced an economic vice grip. WSSU lacked an own stadium, forcing them to rent BB&T Ballpark for 23+ home games. Skyrocketing insurance costs included a 440% premium spike for a single student athlete between 2009 and 2017. As a result, athletic scholarships shrank from 10 to just 6. The realignment decision came on March 15, 2019. Interim Athletics Director George Knox announced the termination of baseball to bring all 10 varsity sports back into CIAA alignment. The roster math showed baseball required funding a 35-man roster, while men's golf required only up to 8 athletes, offering a lighter financial footprint. The final out occurred on April 23, 2019, when WSSU played its final home game. For alumni like Michael McNamara, playing baseball at WSSU was a second opportunity. He noted, "Coach Richa gave me a chance to play that I otherwise would not have had." The 300-win legacy provides 3 key lessons. WSSU proved HBCU baseball can dominate at the highest levels and pipeline players to the major leagues. However, institutional willpower cannot outrun systemic financial math. The program's demise is a stark reminder of the fragile, high-stakes business of non-revenue college athletics.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We're really thrilled you're joining us for this one.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
So today we are unpacking a really fascinating, triumphant, and, well, ultimately heartbreaking case study. We're looking at the entire life cycle of the Winston-Salem State University Rams baseball program.
It is quite a ride.
It really is. We've got this huge stack of sources. We're talking university press releases, years of meticulous game schedules, old newspaper clippings. And our mission today is to show you the hidden levers of the college sports industry.
Right, the stuff you don't normally see.
Exactly. We're going to explore how a program can literally rise from the ashes, absolutely dominate its league, send top talent to the pros, and still face a firing squad at the end of the day.
For you listening, this is really a story about that collision between on-field passion and back-office economics.
Yeah, the money side of things.
Right. It's about peeling back the curtain to understand the mechanics of athletic departments and, why winning just isn't always enough to save a team when the financial forecasting dictates otherwise.
But to really understand the miraculous heights this baseball program eventually reached, we have to start with why it disappeared the very first time.
Because this wasn't their first rodeo.
No, not at all. The Rams baseball team actually vanished once before. We have to rewind over 40 years ago to 1973.
Yeah, the 1970s was a fundamentally different era for lower division collegiate athletics.
Totally different world.
It really was. When we look at the memories of former players, specifically there's this guy named Anthony Pace, who reflected on this era years later. The state of the 1973 Rams baseball team was just incredibly bleak.
Bleak is a good word for it.
Yeah, I mean, they finished with a dismal 2-18 record.
Ouch.
Right. But the record is almost a symptom of a larger structural reality. The team was entirely makeshift.
Yeah, makeshift is almost an understatement here. The head baseball coach at the time, Baxter Holman, he was actually the defensive coordinator for the football team.
Which is wild to think about now.
It is. And the best 3 or 4 players on the baseball team, they were literally just football players staying busy in the spring.
Just getting some exercise, basically.
Exactly. There was no targeted recruiting, no specialized pitching coaches or anything.
Right. Because without dedicated athletic scholarships or a real baseball recruiting pipeline, the program basically functioned as a club.
Just an extracurricular.
Yeah, Peace actually called it a social experience for the guys. It was just a way to go on road trips and keep the athletes out of trouble during the football offseason.
Makes sense.
So because the financial and institutional investment was so incredibly low, the threshold for keeping it alive was entirely based on morale.
Okay, let's unpack this, because when you're going 2-18, the morale tanks pretty quickly.
Oh, absolutely.
At the end of that 1973 season, the legendary WSSU basketball coach and athletic director Clarence Big House Gaines, he just simply shut the program down.
Plug up.
Yeah. According to Pace, Coach Gaines just didn't want to see them get beat so bad anymore. So they just shut down a whole collegiate sport just because they were losing too much? That seems unusually blunt for higher education, doesn't it?
Well, sure, if you view it through the lens of modern multi-million-dollar college sports, it seems really abrupt. But think of the mechanics of their budget at the time.
Right. They weren't exactly losing out on ESPN contracts.
Exactly. They weren't losing television revenue or massive ticket sales by cutting baseball. The program was a pure expense line that only existed for student enjoyment. So, once the enjoyment stopped, the expense just couldn't be justified anymore.
Right. I was thinking it's basically like trying to cast a school musical using only the mathletes.
Yeah.
Or, having a ping pong table in the office break room.
That's a good comparison.
Right. It's a great perk when morale is high and the company has extra cash, but the second the company has to tighten its belt or the table breaks, nobody's going to stand up and passionately defend the ping pong table.
Of course not.
It just wasn't a structural pillar of the institution.
That's the perfect way to look at it.
Yeah.
The sport was shelved because it lacked both competitive viability and structural importance, which meant that its eventual return, after a massive 38-year hiatus, required a totally different blueprint.
Yeah, you couldn't just bring it back as a glorified spring training for defensive linemen.
Exactly. And when they finally brought it back in 2010, they didn't just play. They conquered.
It's unbelievable.
The turnaround is easily one of the most staggering things in this entire stack of sources.
Right, because under the leadership of head coach Kevin Rich, the resurrection of the program was just a masterclass in intentionality. They didn't treat it like some cute experiment, They treated it like a flagship operation.
They absolutely did.
Here's where it gets really interesting. By the start of the 2016 season, they had an overall record of 182-93 since returning.
Which is just a massive number of wins.
It's huge. They were absolutely terrorizing their conference. In the 2015 season alone, they went 42-15. I mean, you don't just stumble into 42 wins.
No, you really don't. They dominated the Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association, the CIAA.
Right.
They won the conference tournament year after year. And the underlying metrics of that 2015 season show, it wasn't just a fluke. The team had a collective batting average of .319.
As a team. That requires elite talent evaluation.
It does.
Plus, they had one of the deepest pitching staffs in Division II, which, interestingly enough, was coached by Kevin Rich's own brother, Keith.
Oh, that's right. The brother duo.
Yeah. They were knocking on the door of the College World Series. And to top it all off, they weren't playing on some lumpy campus practice field. They were playing their home games at BB&T Ballpark, which is this state-of-the-art minor league stadium home to the Winston-Salem Dash.
Talk about an upgrade.
It's a massive glow up. I mean, how
Right.
does a university actually build a powerhouse program out of thin air after almost 40 years of not playing the sport? Did they just get lucky with local talent?
Well, luck might win you a game or two, but it doesn't win you 182 games over 6 years. What's fascinating here is that Richa built this through aggressive, targeted recruiting and exploiting the unique scholarship structure of Division II sports.
How so? Like, what's different about Division II?
So in Division II, very few players get a traditional full ride. Instead, coaches take a small pool of athletic money and chop it up into fractions.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they pair those fractions with academic scholarships and grants to build a full 35-man roster. It requires relentless scouting and just, constant financial puzzle solving.
Wow. So they're doing more with less, optimizing every single dollar to field a championship caliber team.
Exactly. But that very success bred a dangerous new reality for them.
Right, because winning isn't cheap.
No, it's not. When you start winning 40 games a season, traveling deep into the postseason, and playing at a professional-grade minor league stadium, you stop being a cute, feel-good comeback story.
Yeah, the narrative changes.
You transition into a highly visible, costly, high-maintenance machine. The expectations become permanent, and maintaining that level of excellence requires a budget that, frankly, the foundation just wasn't built to support.
Because playing like a Division I program means paying Division I bills.
Precisely.
Behind closed doors, a financial time bomb was basically ticking. By 2017, the financial ground beneath the WSSU Rams began to shift dramatically. And it all started with a conference decision that essentially pulled the rug completely out from under the program.
Right. The CIA, their athletic conference, made the decision to drop its sponsorship of baseball entirely.
Just completely axed it.
Yeah, the conference realized that too few of its member schools could actually afford to field baseball teams, so they just removed it from their official roster of sponsored sports.
Which meant WSSU suddenly found itself operating as an independent team. Now, for you listening, if you don't track college sports administration closely, what does losing conference sponsorship actually mean for a team's day-to-day existence?
Well, being in a conference means your schedule is essentially handed to you. You have a guaranteed slate of local rivals, you hop on a bus for 2 hours, play a 3-game series, and come home.
Pretty straightforward.
But being independent means you are stranded on an island.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You suddenly have to fill a 50-game schedule by calling teams across the country who might just happen to have an open Tuesday.
That sounds like a logistical nightmare.
It is. You're flying or taking charter buses across multiple state lines just to find an opponent. The travel budget doesn't just double, it goes exponential.
And it wasn't just the travel either. Athletics director Tonya Walker was staring down some absolutely staggering financial metrics at this time.
Right, the assurance.
Yeah, the insurance. She noted that back in 2009, right before the program returned, insurance costs were about $500 per athlete. But by 2017, that had skyrocketed to $2,700 per athlete.
Yeah, because when the CIAA dropped baseball, WSSU lost its group bargaining power.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that.
Think of it like buying health insurance as a freelancer versus buying it through a massive corporation. Without the conference umbrella negotiating rates for a dozen schools at once, WSSU was paying premium, out-of-pocket rates to ensure a 35-man roster playing a sport with a pretty high injury potential.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And if insurance jumps by over 400% and your travel costs are exploding because you're flying to Florida just to find a game, that money has to come from somewhere.
It does.
And looking at the spreadsheets, it came directly from the players' pockets.
It really did. The university had no choice but to slash baseball scholarships. When the program first resurrected, they had the equivalent of about 10 full scholarships to chop up among the roster.
Right.
By 2017, they were forced to cut that down to just 6. 6 scholarships to distribute across a 35-man roster.
It's almost nothing. So
Yeah.
you have players taking on massive student debt just for the privilege of playing for this powerhouse team. But here's the crazy part. I mean, the absolute wildest detail in this entire saga.
Oh,
Despite the slashed scholarships, despite the grueling independent travel schedule, the team still kept winning.
their resilience on the field completely defied their financial reality off it.
It's incredible. Look at the 2018 schedule. They went 30-20 that year. And a junior outfielder named Randy Norris who, by the way, hit an absurd .421 the year before. He became the first player in WSSU history to be drafted by Major League Baseball.
That's huge.
He was taken by the San Francisco Giants.
Having a player drafted by a Major League franchise is like the holy grail for a Division II program.
I bet.
It validates the coaching staff, it puts the university's logo on national draft trackers, and it serves as the ultimate recruiting tool.
So what does this all mean? I have to be honest, it feels totally counterintuitive. I mean, it's like running a wildly successful startup where your product is flying off the shelves, but your rent just quintupled and your primary investors pulled out.
That's a great analogy.
It just doesn't make sense. They are producing MLB draft picks. They are winning 30 to 40 games a year. They are playing in a beautiful minor league park. Shouldn't that level of undeniable success pay for itself? Don't they sell tickets and jerseys?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the math of non-revenue sports is just brutal. We are conditioned by top-tier Division I football and basketball, programs that have massive billion-dollar TV contracts and sell out 80,000-seat stadiums.
Right, the mega programs?
Exactly. Those sports generate millions, funding the rest of the athletic department. But Division II baseball, regardless of how good the team is, does not generate significant revenue.
Even with the minor league stadium, the press releases mentioned tickets were $5 for adults and $3 for kids.
Yeah, but gate receipts at $5 a ticket barely cover the cost of turning on the stadium lights, let alone paying the umpires, the grounds crew, and the stadium lease.
Oh, wow.
The prestige of an MLB draft pick is wonderful for the university's brand, sure, but brand awareness doesn't pay the $2,700 insurance premium for the backup catcher.
Right, you can't pay invoices with brand awareness.
Exactly. The fixed costs of operating an independent 35-man roster vastly outweighed any money the team brought in. So the on-field success was undeniable, but financially, the program was just a slow, agonizing bleed.
And this unsustainable tension between undeniable on-field excellence and back-office financial ruin finally snapped in the spring of 2019.
It did.
The result was a shocking case of administrative whiplash that I still, frankly, can't quite wrap my head around.
The timeline of the program's final weeks is a really stark lesson in how quickly the business of sports can override the reality on the field.
Yeah, let's lay out the timeline for you listening because it shows just how sudden the execution was. First, we have a press release from minor league baseball dated February 1st, 2019.
Okay.
It's announcing WSSU's 9th season playing at BB&T Ballpark. And the tone of this release is pure, unadulterated optimism. Coach Richat is quoted boasting about a reloaded team.
Right, they were pumped.
He's naming key returners, guys like Luke Spiva and Wellington Guzman. He is confidently telling the press that they are aiming for a 7th trip to the NCAA tournament.
The coaching staff and the players were operating under the assumption that their hard work was securing their future. They had just come off a 30-20 season. The momentum, from their perspective, was entirely forward. They were preparing for a championship run.
But then, just 6 weeks later.
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
On March 15, 2019, Winston-Salem State University drops a bombshell press release. Interim Director of Athletics George Knox announces that the baseball program is being completely eliminated at the end of the 2019 season.
The rationale provided by the university was entirely structural. They needed to stop bleeding money as an independent program.
Right.
So the athletic department made the calculated decision to realign all their varsity sports strictly with the sports sponsored by the CIAA conference.
And to make the math work, to satisfy the conference requirements for the number of sponsored sports, they had to replace baseball with something else. And they chose men's golf.
It was a trade driven entirely by the spreadsheet. A 35-man baseball roster requires immense gear, heavy travel, huge insurance premiums, and constant facility upkeep.
Yeah, all those independent travel costs we talked about.
Exactly. A men's golf team, on the other hand, carries a maximum of 8 athletes. They carry their own clubs. The insurance liability is virtually zero compared to baseball, and the CIAA officially sponsors it, meaning travel is regional and cheap.
But they were literally hyping up their starting lineup in February and then canceled the whole sport in March. I mean, imagine being a player. You're lacing up your cleats, you're taking batting practice, you're dreaming of getting drafted like Randy Norris.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
And upstairs, your athletic director is looking at how to swap your entire 35-man brotherhood out for an 8-man golf bag just to fit back into a conference spreadsheet. How does a university justify that to the athletes whose lives they are completely upending?
This raises an important question, right? because it is arguably the most difficult conversation an athletic director can have.
I can't even imagine.
The university's press release shows how they tried to manage the fallout. Interim AD Knox stated their first concern was the academic and athletic experience of the student-athletes.
Right.
To mitigate the damage, they promised to honor all existing athletic scholarships for the baseball players until they graduated, even after the team was dissolved. And they pledged to assist any player who wanted to enter the transfer portal to compete elsewhere.
Which, I mean, is absolutely the ethical baseline. You can't just yank a kid's tuition because you messed up the budget. But it still feels so incredibly clinical.
It does, but it highlights the cold, calculated nature of athletic department budgets. The administrators making these decisions aren't doing it out of malice, and they aren't blind to the talent on the field.
Right, they see the wins.
They do. But they are making these cuts out of a strict fiduciary duty to keep the entire athletic department, and by extension, the university itself, solvent. If they bankrupt the department funding independent baseball, they risk losing the basketball team, the track team, and the volleyball team, too.
It's a tightrope walk without a net. So let's bring this all back for you, the listener. We've just traced this incredible, dramatic 10-year arc of the resurrected WSSU Rams.
Quite the journey.
They go from being a forgotten punchline in 1973 to a triumphant, dominant return in 2010. They win conference titles, they win 40 games a season, they produce an MLB draft pick. They did literally everything a college sports program is told they need to do to survive.
And it ended in a spreadsheet-driven execution anyway.
Yeah.
It is a stark reminder that in the modern business of college sports, passion, talent, and even historic winning streaks can ultimately be vetoed by group insurance premiums and conference alignments. The game isn't just played on the dirt, it's played in the accounting office.
It really reframes how you look at the scoreboard. You know, you can win the game by 10 runs, but if the travel budget to get to the game puts the department in the red, you've still lost.
Exactly. And I want to leave you with one final thing to mull over as we wrap up this deep dive.
Go for it.
If a college team can do everything exactly right, if they can win championships, break records, bootstrap their recruiting, and send players to the professional leagues, and still be eliminated simply because of the rising out-of-pocket costs of insurance and conference politics, what does that say about the future viability of non-revenue sports in higher education altogether? Are we rapidly moving toward a world where only the richest, massively endowed collegiate programs get the privilege of playing ball?
That is a heavy but entirely necessary question. Next time you're sitting in the bleachers smelling those roasted peanuts, remember, the biggest, most consequential battles are often happening far away from the field. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep asking questions, keep digging into the details, and always look beyond the scoreboard. Catch you next time.